I'm Dr. David Beaulieu, and I'm here today with more news you can use. I want to talk to you today a little bit about one of the challenges we find with every major chronic disease that takes place in the industrialized world. Half of that picture is subclinical and clinical malnutrition, but the second part is an excess body burden of toxic substances that we get from our general environment and should be protected from by our government and the government agencies. Unfortunately, many of our government agencies have been taken over by the very corporations and big mega businesses that they were put in place to protect us against. So now we've got the foxes running the hen houses, and our children are suffering. And as adults, we're suffering even more. When it comes to toxic substances, we evaluate them a little bit differently, I think, than they should be. For example, one poison may be only mildly toxic, but when it exists in the body in combination with a second or third, or dozens, from a standpoint of synergy, the response is multiplied enormously. For example, there was this one experiment done with rats. The lethal dose of lead, the dose which would kill one rat out of 100, was mixed with the lethal dose, or LD1, of mercury. And these two combined with a tiny lead and mercury dose. So you've got a lethal dose 1 that'll kill one rat out of 100, and you combine it with a lethal dose 1 of mercury. So what should we have here? 2 rats die? Maybe 3? Every rat died. That's the synergistic combination effect of putting toxic substances together. We don't know how toxic our environment is. But I know in my office, when we bring the children in, when we bring the autistic spectrum disordered kids in, they're all toxic, and they all have to be detoxified. They've got everything under the sun. We've got petrochemicals, we've got plastic, we've got formaldehydes, we've got heavy metals. It's an incredible problem out there. You can read more about a body burden of toxins at www.ewg.org. That's Environmental Working Group. That's EWG, Environmental Working Group. Just plug in ewg.org, and you'll get a lot of information. A few well-researched poisons. Okay, this is not questionable. These are well-researched, and some of the places they may be found in our daily lives. Pay attention to this. Chlorine in our drinking water, laundry, and many household cleaners. Chlorine is toxic. It kills bacteria. It's why it's there. Chloramines in some drinking water, in place of or in addition to chlorine. It's even more damaging to humans. Fluoride in our drinking water, toothpastes, numerous foods that have been manufactured in cities with fluoridated water, and it is still used by less knowledgeable dentists. It's a shame, with all the information we have on fluoride, no one should have to deal with fluoride, and we certainly shouldn't be putting it in the water supply. Toxic chemicals in our air fresheners, deodorizers, and plug-ins. We see people in the office all the time that are allergic to their new cars. New car smell. It's toxic. Pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides in and on our fruits and vegetables and in our air. I think we all know pretty much those aren't good for us. Heavy metals such as mercury in every silver dental filling. That's really toxic. And little by little, the world is figuring out silver fillings are really bad. Hormones, steroids, and antibiotic residues in our meats, dairy, and farm-raised fish. You gotta eat organic, people. It's really, really critical. It's gotta be clean. You can't be healthy eating sick food. Hundreds of poisons in small amounts in the air we breathe, which is worse, indoors. This does not include ozone, which is not a pollutant, but rather is a helpful gas produced by nature in order to help detoxify the pollutants. Toxic chemicals in the stain repellents on our new upholstered furniture and carpeting. Who knew? The chemicals that give that new car smell. I already talked about that. Formaldahyde, which outgasses from carpeting and pressed board in our homes. Most of the stuff in new houses is man-made. All the man-made stuff off gases. Fire retardant chemicals in the furniture, mattresses, and children's clothing and bedding. Numerous different types of chemical additives in our foods and toiletries. Toxic vapors released from the toner in our copiers and laser printers. You need to be aware of these things. Read this list again. Avoiding them can help you live a healthier life.